Hello on YouTube and hello on Twitch, and welcome to another episode of my to Singularity Let's Play series. This is Northstar. I hope you're well, are taking care of each other, and being kind to yourselves. Those new to my series, welcome. Returning viewers, welcome back. New viewers, you can find this and all my other series on my YouTube channel in playlists organized from oldest to newest. Well, there's not a ton of continuity in this clicker game here. There are some games that have a lot more. And I do recommend checking out my other games, my other series. I'm disabled on COVID. I'm desperately trying to build a sufficient audience, a sufficient viewership that I can get ad money so that hopefully if I can get Social Security, I can supplement that. If I can't, I doubt I can get to where I can support myself off this. I may end up homeless and dead anyways because Social Security Administration does not have a blue book entry for long COVID and is trying to fight my disability case predictably. They've been doing this with a lot of people with long COVID, so I have to take the administrative law judge where more than half people win, but it's a huge hassle, especially with my extremely low energy levels and difficulty focusing and keeping track of things, including, preparations for an ALJ hearing or anything else. They know diseases like this, and honestly, they're just trying to exhaust and outweight and overstress and hope that I die homeless before, collecting anything, because the government does not work for the best interests of the people in the United States. It only works for the best interests of the billionaires. But this be something the record of that. If years from now I, end up no longer able to pay rent because I can't work with my long COVID, that would be impossible. When, say, any work cadence I could do with the chronic fatigue and just the general neurological problems, this be something like work an hour, lay down an hour, work an hour, lay down an hour. Or half hour even. Way too many breaks, and usually for them to be reasonable. Since just sitting isn't very restful for me, I need to actually be laying down in ideally a dark room, but I can do without the dark, but I can't do without the laying down usually. So, some workplaces have break rooms with couches, I suppose, and I can put in earplugs if it's not quiet enough, because I also get noise sensitivity at times, especially when my brain is overwhelmed. I've got, when I'm resting from streaming, I'm often laying down with the lights out with earplugs in. But yeah, the government knows I can't work like this. While they try and use the grid rules and say young and highly educated, and therefore I should be able to adjust other work, they know I can't focus or do attention to detail well enough for high-skilled mental work, and even just menial desk jobs I can't put in the hours. It's nonsense. But I don't know. So if years from now I end up homeless and dead, hopefully, I don't know. YouTube might go back and delete stuff at that point. But if not, this can stand as a testament to, because most homelessness isn't necessarily a death sentence for everyone, but long COVID, my body can't adapt to stress, physical stressors as well, so I'd probably have a heart attack. And have a hard time keeping track of stuff when shelters are open, and higher sensitivity to heat and cold. The elements would probably do me in if nothing else. Plus, I already have trouble keeping a healthy body weight. I'm dangerously close to being medically underweight. So it'd become medically underweight, probably have a heart attack. It just yeah, the government would rather dead, but let this be a record of how evil the U.S. government is, because it is. We are the bad guys. We have always been the bad guys, and people are only waking up to that now because of what's going on in the Middle East. But even the Cold War, we were the greater evil. The Soviets were absolutely not the good guys, but we were worse than they were. They killed some people. We killed a lot more people. They oppressed their population. We oppressed an immense number of people in the third world. A lot more people were oppressed by the far-right puppet dictatorships we set up than were ever oppressed within the Soviet Union's borders or the Warsaw Pact. And meanwhile, they guaranteed free housing, healthcare, and education. Housing, the basic standard housing was free. You had to pay if you wanted better than that basic guaranteed housing. But free housing, healthcare, and education to all their population, highly subsidized food, learning from mistakes where they had famines early in their history. They started subsidizing food to ensure that would never happen again, and focusing more on agriculture output over heavy industry. This is something that was a Khrushchev program, so after Stalin was dead, which some Marxist-Leninists on the internet complain about Khrushchev's obsession with corn and agriculture output. Honestly, they haven't learned the lessons of history. Khrushchev was right to focus on agriculture output and to put subsidies on food. The Soviet Union could not afford to have more famines, and they ended the cycle of famine thanks to Khrushchev, something he does not get credit for. It certainly wasn't Stalin who did it, but, you know, people like to act like the Soviet Union had Stalin as eternal leader, like if you're playing a game of Civilization. No, the guy died eventually, and there was even de-Stalinization after his death. And while he was did some very terrible things, he was a fanatic and actually a true believer in the stuff he did. He didn't do it out of malice, like is often portrayed, but because he was a fanatic in the same way you get religious fanatics, he was a fanatic of socialism. And he thought the things he was doing would advance that cause. Of course, the road to hell is paved in good intentions, some say. Anyways, enough about that. But if you're curious, if you ever ask, leave comments and stuff, I can point you to the 6 US-supported mass murders, the G word, that gets censored on YouTube, that the US did through its puppet dictatorships around the Third World during the Cold War. I'll name the countries: Indonesia, East Timor, Bangladesh, Guatemala, Congo, and there's one, Cambodia, which the US originally supported that one and then actually opposed it due to pressure on the US Congress. So the US at least gets credit for changing its stance on that one. But initially, and like the CIA was very much behind it and resented that democracy got in the way of what they wanted to do overseas. Just as with the Cuban Missile Crisis, there are elements of the US government that were deeply upset that Kennedy didn't invade Cuba beyond the whole, like, Bay of Pigs thing. They wanted a, US military invasion of Cuba on a huge scale, and when Kennedy refused to do that, there's some who theorize that may have been part of why he ended up getting assassinated. That the guy who did it, there's no question about who did it. This is no conspiracy theory about who did it, but that guy was actually friends with a CIA officer. That's also documented, and some theorize that that guy played mind games and pointed, because that person had actually tried to assassinate a fascist, a far-right general, retired general from the U.S. Army, or was it Marine Corps? Anyways, he tried to assassinate a fascist before, and it doesn't make sense for him to go from trying to kill someone on the far right to trying to kill one of the most left-wing presidents the U.S. had in a very long time. Somebody was messing with his mind. I mean, he was deeply unstable, but yeah, you can... I mean, well, let me rephrase that. Someone may have been messing with his mind. It's not guaranteed by any means, but it's a more plausible theory than the whole second shooter nonsense or whatever. Instead of looking for someone else having done it, just consider, was it the person that we think it was, but they did it for different reasons? Then we think that's, more reasonable as a theory. Anyhow. I can grab boom. Get some mutagen points here. But yeah, I'm dealing with all sorts of stuff, including aggressive roommate who's started to kill me multiple times in the past, and is just, I don't know. He's temporarily removed. It's a temporary restraining order on him, but he got a very lenient judge to hear about it being permanent, who didn't consider the recordings that had him threatening to beat me to a pulp. I didn't have recordings of him threatening to kill me. I didn't think to record that when that happened. Sufficient evidence that he was actually threatening me and not someone else, say over the phone, was the argument the judge made. How do I know this is really a recording of him threatening you? It's like, what else could it be? You're being ridiculous. But so I'm stressed out about that. Stressed out about my Social Security case. Stressed out about attempting to date, which with long COVID is just brutally hard. Because, you know, people generally don't want to date someone who's disabled. I have to find the right time to announce. If I announce it right away, people disappear. I can't keep them in the dark about it forever. If I can wait to discuss it in detail and allude to there's something before meeting, so I can at least, you know, put on my charm when I tell people this. Some people hate that. It's like, you know, it's shitty to cut disabled people entirely out of life and consideration. There's no shame in, you know, waiting until you meet someone in person to explain something where you can, as I said, be more put on full charm. And, you know, because I essentially have to do is convince people to, yes, I'm not going to be making much money. If I'm lucky, I'll manage to get my YouTube channel where I'm earning money someday, but it's never going to be a lot. But I am trying like heck to make the most of myself despite this disability, and it's not my fault, and I can still be emotionally supportive and stuff. Because there's more to life than just money. Plus, the people that these dating apps match me with are almost always highly successful women who make very high incomes. So it's like, it's not going to be a question of being unable to survive. Especially if it's a dual income and I'm just the lower earner with YouTube and Twitch eventually. And if this never works out, there's some other things like voice acting training. If I can get SSI, then the government will pay for retraining to sometimes get people off SSI. Fight me on that. It's like, I don't want to be on it more than you want me on it, but I can't survive without it. But if I get on it, there's retraining programs I can try and get them to pay for voice acting training, for instance. And that's a job which maybe I could manage with my long COVID, maybe, but the odds are low. I give it a 5 to 10% chance. And it's like $3,000 for the training for like 3 voice acting classes. Usually there'd be $1,000 courses. So I might do support in the first one. I don't do a second or third, but if I, you know, do with the coach, and I think it's worth further training, take my shot at that, and maybe I can just barely eke out a little work as a voice actor. Especially if YouTube, Twitch doesn't work out, although the skills I learned doing that may help me be a more effective streamer. I'm trying like heck to do everything I can, contribute to the world. I mean, part of the point of this YouTube thing is not just earning money, but to have political influence, make people more aware of long COVID, make people more amenable to left-wing ideologies by dropping some of my arguments for socialism. I became a socialist a little bit before I actually got long COVID. The timing was... I'm not insane enough to think the government could do anything to cause people to have long COVID, but you know, now that I have long COVID, people are automatically going to think that I only became a socialist because I became disabled. It's like, no, I became a socialist and then I got disabled like 2 months later. It's really terrible timing, but I've always had terrible luck my whole life. Heck, I was on the verge of becoming a physician. Finished a special master's with perfect grades, straight A's. And they don't do A pluses, or I would have had some of those too. And I was going to take a gap year because my research project got a little slowed down due to the pandemic, due to it starting late. And then doing research for a heart surgeon was a terrible communicator by email. Great in person, terrible by email. So it was not working very well. Trying to do the statistical research I was doing on his heart surgery, when he expected me to answer questions he didn't ask in the emails. I would answer the questions he asked anyways. So it started late than that. So I was going to need an extra summer after I finished all classes to do a different library thesis. And then I was going to have 3 master's degrees, straight A's in the second and third, including special masters, an amazing MCAT score. And my program head in the special masters was sure I'd get into med school and recommended med schools in Australia and Ireland if I really wanted to get out of the country, which I did. Because even back then in 2021, I was sure the US was going to go in a far right direction, although I didn't expect it to happen with Trump again, or quite so quickly as it's happened. Project 2025 was something that, caught a lot of people by surprise how effective it was. But I did expect that billionaires would keep funding fascism and building far-right influence networks, and there were too many far-right influencers online, which I'm trying to act as a counterweight against. So I did expect. So I don't have nearly the platform they do. That's partly because there are shady companies that sell viewers to help people get started, for instance, and the secret billionaire backers of some of these far-right influencers will gladly pay to give them the initial leg up, or when they're already established, to inflate their view numbers, and then the social media companies themselves tend to have a right-wing bias, not left-wing like some people may claim. But right-wing is always claiming that media is biased against them, but it's actually biased in favor of them. It's projecting so that it's harder to accuse the media companies of the truth of being biased in favor of the right, because they're always being accused falsely of being biased in favor of the left. It's a tactic. It's an intentional tactic, which I think certain members of the right wing have actually been caught speaking candidly about, that they're doing it in bad faith, these claims of liberal bias in the media, by which they mean left wing. I'm a socialist, and actually socialists hate liberals in the sense of liberal capitalists. But that's actually a term that more probably means like Ronald Reagan, or sometimes third-way Democrats like Bill Clinton, and less like Bernie Sanders would not be considered liberal capitalists, but Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton would. Yeah, because the term has a little bit different meaning, actually academically liberal capitalist, than its common use in the US or liberal left-wing, to the point where FDR considered leaving the Democratic Party and forming a, quote, liberal party, by which he meant a party that was to the left of the Democrats. This was a shame it didn't happen. It would have had to replace one of the existing 2 parties, though, because the U.S. political system forces us into 2 parties. And okay, anyhow, Quipu, which massively boosts commodity currency. Guess I should actually not do paper money right now. Do Quipu. Well, commodity currency, that now they got Quipu. And then some coins. Increase my currency number a little, and then increase the coin number a lot. And then use the coins to increase the number of paper money generators before I start actually trying to go for paper money stuff for, I guess, flying money and central bank. That's probably the strategy here. Just waiting to aggressive knock on my door or something. This guy. Let's see. So yeah, you get a bonus once you fill the bars to your output of something when you pull the lever. It's very much Skin Fox-esque. Whatever. Reset the main simulation. That's actually gaining prestige currency at a fast rate. It would be good to let that go a little bit longer. Alright, I should probably do coins now. I'm doing a lot of commodity currency. 454. Nice number, nice even number. Not that matters, I'm just silly like that. My brain's even more like that with the long COVID. Get almost obsessive about detail. Weird about them. No viewers on Twitch currently, but I have been picking up video on demand viewers at a substantial rate, so some of you may be seeing this later. Again, check out my other playlists on YouTube. I have about 24 different games I stream and about 50 different playlists. There's some things that have a lot of playlists, like Crisis of the Kremlin, which has had 11 different campaigns, not all in their own playlist because someone failed very early, so a lot of the playlists are actually 2 campaigns in one playlist. Just because I wanted to drown out all the other games with just playlist that. So it's like 6 playlists of Crisis in the Kremlin, for instance. 2 of Stellaris, I think 4 of Hearts of Iron, because there were 4 different campaigns. They were pretty long. Let's see, there were 2 multiplayer, single player US, and I think there was there a single player Germany? I think there was, yeah, so that would be 4 campaigns. Positive. That is my terrible fake German accent. I think it's more of a comic villain one than a real one. Please, no offense to the German viewers. I get a few here and there. I'm just being goofy. And not even, you know, well, I mean, German accent English, but you know, some German speakers speak English and they don't sound anything like that, so it's just being weird. Loopy. My long COVID, I get loopy even when I'm still managing to do stuff. This would be a problem at work. Employers probably think I was drunk or something, even though I do not drink. Partly because with my health already being what it is, the long COVID, I don't need to do anything to make it worse. And partly, actually I should do the coins before that. Partly because people would use this excuse to assume that that's the reason I wasn't thinking clearly, rather than, you know, my post-viral disease. There's a lot of bias against people with post-viral diseases and a lot of lack of acknowledgement and erasure. Anyways, I should increase the number of paper money generators before I start pulling that lever here. Yeah, this is the money exploration, and eventually once you fill up all 5 bar types, you can get some Darwinian cubes. Often it's actually less than what you had to put in to get that once you spend an insane amount of time on this exploration, but it is a partial refund of what you would have put in on, say, the 2x speed boost there. I'm not even sure if I can get it with 2x. I might need to go all the way up to 4x, but that's more Darwinium I want to spend on this exploration now that there are modules you can spend it on instead. If I can get 1 more Darwinium, I'll probably buy. There's a 100 Darwinium module, but I want to keep 2 in reserve for doubling this the next time I log in. Probably. It's gonna take a while even just to get a second paper money generator. Even with this lever pulling, I may need to do a nanobot reset. It's a long way from central bank and credit, which will actually buff coins substantially. Now let's just go and reset this. Respect for your guys' time. Yes, I'm sure a few upgrades here. Let's look. Okay. Oh, yeah, I can get some serious upgrades. Boom. 50,930 life forms cataloged. Let's be simulation 5,765. For times I was doing just a lot of resets very rapidly for the nanobot thing. I should grab the immediate 30 Darwinium. I didn't have any idea I was so close to being able to afford that. I should probably get a few of these instead of going all in on Idea Speed Booster. With that. Boom. Boom. The big thing is that Darwinium. I guess I could have gotten other upgrades, but this will enable let's see. I'll show you guys the module in a second. Just racing up to Singularity here. So you can get some upgrades on the next reset. Boom, 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 boom. Mammals. Here and there, I grab a thing, upgrade I don't strictly need. My brain thinks and I wait for the next thing to pop up. It doesn't hurt. Humans, so I can just go right towards Neolithic here. They moved Neolithic, I think, a little bit further to the right than it was before. However, mining. Mining is obviously important to the Bronze Age. Pine glass will be useful later. Library. Manuscripts, printing press for age of exploration, that's right. Rebels. Centurism, calculus. Industrial revolution, law of gravity, college industry, code, factories, and telephone to get the atomic age. Optics. Positional light. Information age. Biology. Photography. Silent film. General aesthetic. Television and molecular biology. ARPANET. Computer terminals. Emergent age. AI. Self-assembly. I missed something around here. Oh, here we go. Map genome. That required integrated circuits. Okay. Singularity. When I built the generators, they should be getting semi-substantial amounts of prestige currency. Still not nearly that much, but better than nothing. I can pop in a few upgrades to really get it going. And then go back to the exploration thing. So while we run for a short time. But, you know, upgrades will immediately be useful in the next simulation. Each time let's get a few more upgrades. That's the idea. It's a way to sort upgrades by value. Cool. Alright, enough of that. Got as far as cloning. Cloning, emergent age, future tech stuff. Okay. Another paper money. coins. Credit is the really valuable thing. We need 300,000 paper money. It's a ton. Probably not good to pull paper money lever until we've got at least 3 or 4 generators, maybe even 5. Oh, while I'm here, I'll forget otherwise. Oh, I have to be in the main sim for this. Oh well. I'll show you guys in a second. I'm just talking about the modules. Missed that. For the main sim. So look at the prestige currency I've accumulated and decide whether I want to do an immediate reset or wait like a minute. Oh yeah, I got Encyclopedia before. The last time I did a little more off camera. Try not to do too much of that. Anyways. I get distracted to use it now on COVID. No, it's not under there. What am I doing? Under modules. This benefits land life massively. And some of this stuff. Not as cost effective. That does benefit knowledge production, but it's 300 Darwinium, which is nuts. Generally, you want to get the cheaper modules first and work your way up to the more expensive. These are 200s. That's going to be a long time. Guess grab a few more upgrades. Alright, so I've got 1.39 to the 18th. Okay, yeah, that's not that much entropy, but I mainly put the research ships in the knowledge. 2.620 knowledge, on the other hand. Doesn't seem like that much compared to before. I may just want to let this run a minute longer. Grab upgrades and then I'll consider whether to wait longer or not. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. If I could get Modern Mastery 4, that would be on the order 1.56 to 21. Yeah, I could get that in reasonable time. Alright, it's not going to be to turn that off. Won't value stations enough until I get the last upgrade for him. Which point it'd be too late to have any effect if the extra generators kick in. Capacitors are based on the number of generators total. Getting the cheapest stuff here, broadly. Rarity counts double. Grab all that, and also next research ship level. It's not even giving me an ETA. It used to before, didn't it? Guess it stopped doing it because the so discouraging, seeing it was going to be such and such many days. Anyhow, back to the price of trust, which is the money exploration. Of course, wrapping up a trust, a word that people have positive associations with to push the game authors, game devs' own somewhat biased views on how money and economics work. I guess he's entitled to have his own views, even though a lot of it just came out of Wikipedia as far as I can tell, which leads to weird mishmash of ideas, drawing from everything from libertarian far-right ideology to Marxism. So it's a really strange, because that's what you get when you pull Wikipedia. Different articles tend to have different biases. It's all over the map. Originally I thought it had a right-wing bias, and I spotted some stuff that was actually specifically Marxist. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this is just a mishmash from Wikipedia. It became more and more obvious the closer I looked. The right-wing stuff is more prevalent because, honestly, there's a lot more right-wing internet trolls because there are think tanks funded by billionaires, which almost always have a right-wing bias, that will actually go about trying to secretly fund efforts to rewrite Wikipedia articles in a biased manner. There's troll farms and such. It's a whole shady operation. It's hard to document. People say, oh, that's conspiracy theory. No, there's been investigative reports on it, but a lot of this stuff just flies under the radar and gets covered up, and the media coverage gets de-emphasized because who owns the media? Billionaires. Okay, well anyways, that's enough for this. I'll come back to this a little while later. I should do some more of the Rings Online videos. I hope you all enjoyed this. Take care of each other. Be kind to yourselves, and may you always find a guiding star to lead you home. Until next time, this is Northstar. And best luck to you all.